こんにちは、ハリケーンフットボールです。今回の教材は、リバプールの遠藤航に関する動画です。リバプールはプレミアリーグの開幕戦であるボーンマス戦を4対2の勝利で終わりました。2対0とリードしている段階で、少し早めながら60分から遠藤航が右サイドバックで投入されたものの、そこからまさかの2失点で、一時は同点まで追いつかれました。アンフィールドアジェンダのプレイヤーレーティング動画では、遠藤航が悪かったというよりも、右サイドバックは十分にできないという評価のようです。遠藤航としては、他のリバプールファンからも、失点の責任はほとんど問われていないものの、右サイドバックでは遠藤航は使うべきでないというような、少なからず悪い印象を残してしまった試合だったかもしれません。実際にここではどのように話しているのか、チェックしてみましょう。
What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to our player ratings here on Anfield Agenda after Liverpool have eventually beaten Bournemouth by 4-2. The Reds raced into a 2-goal lead, pegged back then by two Anton Semenyo goals, but of course, goals from Federico Chiesa and Mohamed Salah got us over the line. I'm going to go through, give the players, the referee, the substitutes and our coach a score out of 10. Some of you guys have let us know already what your scores are by submitting them in the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp community. If you'd like to take part in the future, make sure you are signed up to our WhatsApp. If you want to play along in the comments, feel free to. As I mentioned, I'm going to go through, give them all a score and let you know my thoughts on their performances. Right, today, ladies and gentlemen, we wouldn't be here without our friends at FOTMob, who are our sponsors today. They are giving away 10 copies of the new EAFC game and 5 Premier League shirts of your choice. Everybody who downloads the app and redeems with the code PL25, that's PL25, can participate in the giveaway. It's that easy. FOTMob is already used and trusted by over 20 million people around the world and is the best football app on the planet, bar none. Improve your matchday experience with live scores, live stats, XG, momentum graphs, and much, much more during live games. FOTMob player ratings are universally used and recognised as the best stats-based rating model on the market. For this season's Premier League campaign, our friends at FOTMob have added a couple of things. Physical metrics such as top speed and total distance for all players on every single match. This data will be live just like any other stat in the FOTMob app. The giveaway, to participate in the giveaway, to have your chance to win one of 10 copies of EAFC or one of 5 Premier League shirts of your choice, simply download the FOTMob app, open it up, click on More, then Settings and redeem the code FPL25. As shown on the screen there in front of you, this will bring you to a Google form that will let you participate in the giveaway. So once again, open the app, click More and Settings, then redeem with the code PL25. Thank you so much to our sponsors at FOTMob. And again, let's get stuck into the ratings. So we're going to start off with the referee, Anthony Taylor. And look, I think you know where I'm going to go with this one. Not great. Obvious handballs missed. Loads of fouls that I feel he didn't give in the game. I just don't think he's a good referee. And for me, a 4.5 out of 10. The audience thinks similarly, a 4.1, the average score. So the big score you'll see in the centre is my score. And the one in the upper right-hand corner is the average audience score. Next up, Alisson Becker. A difficult one today because conceded 2 again, looked a little bit shaky under the high ball on occasion. I don't think it was the greatest performance defensively, and I certainly didn't feel like he was communicating well with Van Dijk and Konate ahead of him on occasion. So I've gone for a score of 6 for Ali, and the audience have gone for a 6.5. Next up, Jeremy Frimpong. Now, I was wondering why on earth he was taken off, but it does seem like he was feeling his hamstring and that's what forced Arna into the change. A lot of good things today from Frimpong. Loved his battling qualities. We all know the engine he has to get up and down that right-hand side. And I do like what I've seen. So for me, really encouraging performance from Jeremy Frimpong today. I'm giving him a score of 6.5, and surprisingly, the audience have agreed. Now, I don't know the audience scores, by the way, before I start going through this video, so it's always good to see that we're all on the same page. Next up, Ibrahim Konate. Look, I'm not going to say it was a horrendous performance all around, but it was a shaky performance. There were some things that were good, blocks positionally. Others, I think he looked a little bit shaky. Again, both of our centre-backs were calamitous, for my opinion, particularly on the second goal. I have concerns. We do need competition for places there, and we need a little bit more stability. So for me today, for Konate, I'm going to give him a score of 5. The audience think he was even worse than I did and have gone for an average score of 4.4. Next up, our captain, Virgil van Dijk. same thing as I said about KONATE, really, really angry at how much we just drop off and don't step up and commit a forward like Semenyo to make a decision. Just not great. Even the communication between Robbo and Virgil for their first goal. Yes, Virgil did have a man, but Robbo should have shouted to let him know about Semenyo in behind. I just don't feel that we are as sturdy at the back as we can, and we need to figure it out. It's just not good enough. We've conceded 2 way too often. So Virgil, today I'm going to give a 5.5 to. The audience have gone a little bit higher with a score there of 5.7. Next up, Milos Kerkez. And look, I'm not going to shy away from it. I didn't think he was good today. It almost felt like he was trying a little bit too hard. He was a little bit too overly enthusiastic. Certainly not lacking in energy and enthusiasm and effort, but a little bit naive on occasion there today. Can't argue with the yellow we picked up either. Felt he was deserving of that. So for me today, for Milos, I'm giving him a 4.5 because I really think there's a lot more to come and he's a lot better than the performance we've seen today. But it was his first one, competitive one in a Liverpool shirt at Anfield, so I'm sure it will get better as we go on. Next up, Alexis McAllister. I liked the performance from Macca today. Real tenacious performance at the base of that Liverpool midfield. Obviously not his preferred natural position, but he was filling in for Gravenberch, who was suspended. Nearly got himself a goal as well, with a strike from the edge of the box. Look, I'm an unashamed Macca fan. And today, I thought coming back in after a delayed pre-season was a decent shift from Macca. So I've given him a 7. And the Anfield Agenda audience, pretty similar, with an average score there of 6.9. Next, Dominic Szoboszlai. I gotta say, I'm a bit wound up sometimes by some of the comments because I feel some people have their mind made up about Dominic Szoboszlai before the match even kicks off. It wasn't the greatest performance you're ever going to see from Dom, and yes, we did give the ball away too much on occasion, but he never shirks from responsibility, never doesn't put in a good shift, always looking for the ball, and I think it will come together as the season goes on. So for me, look, wasn't brilliant from Dom, but wasn't terrible either. So I'm giving him a 6.5, and the audience got a little bit higher with a score there of 6.8. Next up, Florian Wirtz. It felt like he was not fully up to the speed and the intensity of the Premier League, if I'm being honest. Sometimes he felt like he had that extra second or two that maybe would have gotten in the Bundesliga, but he was closed down. A couple of times he was challenged from behind and just caught in possession. You can see what he wants to do. You can see once those relationships around the pitch come together, what he will add and bring to the team. So more to come from him. But today I thought it was okay, to be honest with you. So score for me today from him is 6. And the Anfield Agenda audience got a little bit higher for Florian Wirtz, giving him a score of 6.5. Now do let us know what you guys thought of Florian's display today. Let me know in the comments. Mohamed Salah. Let me just say, you can see the release of emotion at the end of the game for Mo, and it wasn't his greatest game. He did score a very good goal, and the goal only came about because of the hard yards he ran as well. But I just felt like all the emotion around Diogo, he just seemed like he was carrying it a little bit more than some of the other players. I think we will see Mo now start to get back to himself. He does need competition, and we do need somebody to put pressure on him for that right-hand side. Whether that's Chiesa moving forward or not, who knows? But that wasn't the best of Mo today, but I do think there's extenuating circumstances for it, and for some of the other guys as well. So today for Mo, for me, I'm giving him a 6. Very grateful for that goal at the end. Lovely finish on his right foot, and he's off the mark for another campaign. Next up, Cody Gakpo. Really decent shift, I thought, from Cody. Always a danger cutting in on that right side. Got himself that goal as well. Laid one on a little bit too far ahead of Salah, but again came from cutting inside. Yes, there are occasions where I'd like to see him go around the outside and take his man on. But again, I thought that was an accomplished performance today from Cody. So for me, I'm giving him a 7. And the Anfield Agenda audience, a little bit higher with an average for Cody of 7.4. Right, we move on now to Mr. Ugo Ekitike, lads. He was great, wasn't he? Let's just be honest, he was really good. I don't know what everyone's own expectations were. I was, again, like I said, unknown what to expect from Ugo Ekitike. Love the tenacity. Love that he got himself a goal as well. Love the fact that he's able to link up play. I just love so much about his play. I think we have got ourselves a really good player. I think he's going to be one that the Anfield audience loves as well. So I'm going to give him a score today of 8.5. and you guys have gone a little bit higher with a score of 8.7. And after almost 10,000 votes cast as well in our player ratings man of the match poll, he was your Anfield Agenda man of the match, and congratulations to him, a very deserving winner. Next up came Endo. Now look, it's not Endo's fault that he was put on at right back, but you can see the deficiencies in his game in that position were exposed. He's never going to lack in tenacity, never going to lack in honesty of endeavour, but he is limited in pace, and it felt like a strange decision from Arna, which he rectified. So looked a little bit more comfortable moving into that normal role of his in the centre of the park. So I'm going to say 5 for Endo. You guys are going a bit higher with a 5.6. Then Andy Robertson. Again, totally understood the substitution. Kirkes was on a yellow. Felt like the right time to bring Robbo on. Again, some communication with Virgil. I would have liked a little bit more of it, to be honest with you. And sometimes, again, looked a little bit sloppy in possession. So for me, for Andy Robertson, I'm going to give him a 5.5. And pretty similar to what you guys are thinking with a score there, a 5.6. Now, Joe Gomez, let me say, great to have Joe back out there on the pitch. You know, he's always great, an option to have for the manager. Much more comfortable at right back than Endo was. And again, I think we looked better when he was on at right back. So great to see Joe back. Hope he gets his goal this season. And for me, I'm giving him a 6 from his cameo off the bench. And you guys a little bit lower with an average score of 5.8. Now, Curtis Jones. This is the one I struggled with. There's always a player in every game that I really struggle to remember. And when Curtis came on, I was really emotionally invested in what was happening on the pitch, and I was probably not really paying too much attention. So I'll be honest and say I've given him a score of 5.5, but I'm open to whether that was wrong. Seems like the audience were thinking similarly as they gave him the score of 5.5 as well. Chiesa, look, who didn't smile? Who didn't love that moment for him? He has been the perfect professional when things haven't been going his way. Always smiling on the bench, always trying, giving 100% when he does come on. And it was great to see him get that moment today. It really, really was. For him to get the goal, that really made the difference to make it 3-2. Lovely moment from in front of the cop. And whatever else happens, I truly am really happy he got that moment today. So for me, Chiesa gets an 8 because I don't think we win that game if he doesn't put that ball away. And finally, we move on to Arna. And look, for all of his great attributes, the substitutions today were a real noodle scratcher for a few reasons. If the intent was to see out the game, well, it had the opposite effect. We conceded 2. It shows we are lacking still in squad depth despite some of the money we've spent. We do have time to rectify that, but the substitutions need to be better thought out, in my opinion, moving forward, because again, we've seen young Rio not get a sniff, and he is replacing an experienced player in the squad in Diaz. And like I said in the game, Diaz gets on that pitch today if Arna wanted to make a change, but Rio isn't. So he's either a replacement or he isn't. We trust him or we don't. These half decisions, I don't like them. Didn't like it last season with Elliott and Chiesa. So we need to make sure that when he looks to that bench, he trusts the options on there. So that's my critiquing of Arna today. But of course, we did get the job done. And he is trying to deal with a difficult situation. The loss of Diogo, a load of transition of players as well. Wasn't always going to be straightforward. But I do back him to get it right. And some of the things I've seen written and said about him, about being a terrible coach and not having a clue and getting lucky, I don't buy it. Yes, it wasn't great today, but I do think he'll put it right. So for me, I'm giving Arna a 5 from today, and you guys have gone a bit higher with a score of 6. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for the opening player ratings of the season. Thank you to our sponsors, FOTMob as well. Remember to scan that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner and use the code PL25 to enter into the giveaway to win one of 10 copies of EAFC or 5 Premier League shirts of your choice. Right, I will be back tomorrow. But again, do let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Drop a like in the video if you enjoy it. And thank you to everyone that hit the subscribe button as well. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
次は解説です。今回はなかなか面白い新しいボキャブラリーや表現も多くありました。過去に解説していないものも結構ありましたので、本日の解説をチェックしてみましょ
う。Pegged back down by 2 Anton Semenyo goals, but...
ペグバックはスポーツニュースでとてもよく出てくるイディオムです。直訳すると、釘で後ろに固定するですが、実際には、押し戻すや追いつくという意味になります。特にサッカーでは、先に得点していたチームが相手に同点にされるときに使われます。日本語の追いつかれるに近いですが、押し返されたというニュアンスも少し含んでいます。試合記事やハイライト解説で品質する表現なので、サッカー好きの方は覚えておくととても便利です。
He pegged back down by two Anton Semenyo goals, but pegged back down by two Anton Semenyo goals, but and is the best football app on the planet, bar none.
バーノンはとても強い断定を表すフレーズです。直訳すると誰も除外せずにという意味ですが、実際には文句なしにや間違いなく一番というニュアンスになります。この表現は日常会話よりも広告、レビュー、あるいは人を強く褒めるときに使われます。ネイティブはナンバーワンだやトップだと強調するときに自然に使うので、覚えておくと文章や会話に説得力が出ます。
And is the best football app on the planet, bar none. And is the best football app on the planet, bar none. Again, both of our centre backs were calamitous, for my opinion.
カラミタスは大惨事のようなや壊滅的なという強い否定的な意味を持つ表現です。災難や大惨事という意味のカラミッティの形容詞の形です。日常会話ではあまり頻繁には使われませんが、ニュース記事、学術的な文章、そしてスポーツ解説で最悪の結果や致命的な失敗を表現するときによく登場します。日本語の悲惨なや壊滅的なと覚えるとスムーズです。
Again, both of our centre backs were calamitous, for my opinion. Again, both of our centre backs were calamitous, for my opinion. And look, I'm not going to shy away from it.
シャイアウェイフロムは勇気が出ずに避けるや怖がって身を引くという意味を持ちます。例えば、対立を避けるという場合や、決して責任から逃げないという強調表現として使われます。このフレーズはネガティブな行動だけでなく、ポジティブに逃げない、立ち向かうと言いたい時にも使えるのがポイントです。スポーツ解説では、挑戦から逃げないという場合などによく登場します。
And look, I'm not going to shy away from it. And look, I'm not going to shy away from it. Look, I'm an unashamed Macca fan.
アンアシェントは、恥じないや堂々としているという意味を持つ形容詞です。日常会話ではポジティブに自分の好みや立場を堂々と表現するときによく使われ、例えばスポーツや音楽のファンを語るときに、私はファンであることにを恥ずかしがりませんと強調できます。一方で、時にはずうずうしいや開き直ったという皮肉を込めて使われる場合もあります。
Look, I'm an unashamed Macca fan. Look, I'm an unashamed Macca fan. I gotta say, I'm a bit wound up sometimes by some of the comments.
ウウンドアップは、人の感情が巻き上げられて落ち着かない状態を表します。状況によって、イライラしているや怒っているという意味にも、緊張しているや神経質になっているという意味にも使われます。例えば、彼は結果にすごくイライラしているという場合や、彼女は面接の前に緊張しているという場合などに使われます。文脈から怒っているのか緊張しているのかを判断するのがポイントです。
I gotta say, I'm a bit wound up sometimes by some of the comments. But he never shirks from responsibility.
シャークは、やるべきことを意図的に避けるや、責任を逃れるという意味の動詞です。特に、責任義務仕事に対して使われ、単なる、忘れるではなく、わざと避けるというニュアンスが強いです。スポーツの解説でも、彼は決して責任から逃げないという褒め言葉でも使われます。つまりシャークはネガティブな言葉ですが、ネバーシャークと否定することで、ポジティブに強調できるのも特徴です。
But he never shirks from responsibility. But I do think there's extenuating circumstances for it.
イクステニエイトは、罪や失敗を軽減して説明するという意味のフォーマルな動詞です。この単語は法律やフォーマルな議論で使われることが多く、日常会話ではあまり登場しません。代わりにエクスキューズやエクスプレインアウェイなどがよく使われます。また、イクステニエイティングサーカムスタンスという決まり文句は、犯罪や過失に仕方のない理由があったと表現するときによく使われます。覚えておくとニュース英語や法律関係の英文を読むときに役立ちます。
But I do think there's extenuating circumstances for it. We're a real noodle scratcher for a few reasons.
ヌードルスクラッチャーは頭を悩ませるものや理解しにくいことを表します。ここでヌードルは麺ではなく頭を意味する俗語です。直訳すると頭をかきむしるものですが、実際にはなんでそうなるのと考え込んでしまう出来事を指します。今回の動画の中では今日の交代策は本当に首をかしげるものだったというニュアンスで使われています。フォーマルな英語では使えませんが、日常会話やスポーツの実況ではよく出てくる表現です。
They were a real noodle scratcher for a few reasons. They were a real noodle scratcher for a few reasons.
いかがでしたか？遠藤航がこの試合では悪かったというようなリバプールファンはほとんど見ていませんが、そもそも遠藤航にサイドバックをさせるべきではないという声がほとんどのように感じます。プレシーズン中でも同様に、遠藤航にセンターバックをさせるべきではないという声が多かったですし、日本人のファンは、今のリバプールの守備陣のスカットを見て、センターバックや右サイドバックで起用されるのを見て、遠藤航を重宝しているとか、重要な存在になっているという意見で盛り上がっているように見えますが、現実的には逆に、センターバックの補強をすべきという声がより大きくなり、遠藤航はいざとなった時に使える最終手段というような声がより強くなっているような気がします。この試合でも遠藤航のせいにはできないというのはみんなが分かっているものの、遠藤航が投入されてから2失点したのは、やはり大きな印象になってしまうものでもあるでしょう。おそらくこれからセンターバックも補強するでしょうし、これからの遠藤航の立ち位置が心配でなりませんが、また次戦以降では、さらに良いプレーをしてくれるだろうとも思いますので、また期待して楽しみにしたいと思います。本日もご視聴いただきありがとうございました。またすぐにお会いしましょう。